The coffee mug shattered against the kitchen floor as my trembling hands lost their grip. On Marcus's laptop screen, the folder labeled wedding glowed mockingly, but these weren't photos from our wedding 3 months ago. They were from another wedding. His wedding. To another woman. What the hell is this? I whispered, scrolling through dozens of photos. Marcus, in a black tuxedo, beaming as he kissed a blonde woman in a flowing white dress. The timestamp read just 6 weeks before he proposed to me. My chest felt like it was caving in. Every breath became a struggle as I clicked through image after image. The first dance, cutting the cake, exchanging rings. The same rings he'd claimed were family heirlooms when he gave me mine. I heard his car in the driveway. Panic shot through my veins like ice water. Marcus walked in, whistling casually, his tie loosened from another late night at the office. The same lie he'd been feeding me for months. Why babe, what's for dinner? He froze when he saw his laptop open, saw my tear-stained face. Who is she, Marcus? My voice cracked. Who is Sarah? His face went pale, then hardened. Emily, you had no right to go through my laptop. I had no right. I laughed bitterly. I'm your wife. Or am I? Because apparently, you have another one. It's complicated, he said, running his hands through his hair. Sarah and we're getting divorced. The marriage was a mistake. A mistake. I stood up, rage replacing the hurt. You married her 6 weeks before you proposed to me. You're still married to her now. Marcus's jaw tightened. Look, what you don't understand is. What don't I understand? What I don't understand is how you could look me in the eye every day and lie. What I don't understand is how you could make me believe I was special. The room felt like it was spinning. 3 months of marriage, 2 years of dating, all built on lies. The doorbell rang, cutting through our heated argument like a knife. Marcus's face went white as a sheet. Expecting someone? I asked, my voice dripping with venom. Through the window, I could see a woman with familiar blonde hair. My stomach dropped. It was her. Sarah. Marcus Harrison. She called out, pounding on the door. I know you're in there. We need to talk about the divorce papers you've been dodging. Marcus grabbed my arm. Emily, please, just let me handle this. I yanked away from him. Handle this? Like you handled telling me you were already married. I marched to the door and threw it open. Sarah stood there, immaculate in a business suit, holding a manila envelope. Her eyes met mine, then traveled to the wedding ring on my finger, the same design as hers. Well, she said, her voice dangerously calm. This explains why my husband has been avoiding my calls. Your husband? I looked between them, my world tilting off its axis. Sarah pushed past me into the living room. Marcus, you absolute piece of garbage. Not only did you abandon our marriage, but you went and got yourself another wife. Sarah, I can explain, Marcus started. Explain what? How are you a bigamist? How did you lie to this poor woman? Sarah turned to me, her anger shifting to sympathy. Honey, what did he tell you about me? He said you were divorced. That it was over. My voice sounded small, pathetic. Sarah let out a harsh laugh. Divorced? I've been trying to serve him papers for 4 months. He keeps running away like a coward. That's not true. Marcus exploded. I told you I needed time. Time. You needed time to find a replacement. Sarah slammed the envelope on the coffee table. Well, congratulations, you managed to commit fraud and break another woman's heart in the process. I sank into a chair, the full weight of the betrayal crushing down on me. So our marriage. It's not even legal. Not even close, Sarah said gently. I'm sorry, sweetheart. We're both victims here. Marcus looked cornered, desperate. You don't understand the pressure I was under. Sarah's family, the business expectations. Stop, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. Just stop talking. For the first time in months, I saw clearly. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way he deflected every question about his past. I'd been so blinded by what I thought was love that I'd ignored every red flag. Emily, please, Marcus reached for me. We can work this out. I'll sign the papers, we can start fresh. Start fresh. I stood up, and something shifted inside me. The hurt was crystallizing into something harder, colder. You mean start fresh with more lies? Sarah watched me carefully. What are you thinking? I looked at both of them, this pathetic man I trusted with my heart, and this woman who'd been as deceived as I was. An idea began forming. I'm thinking, I said slowly, that Marcus has been getting away with this for too long. Sarah, I said, turning to her with newfound determination. What do you need from him to finalize this divorce? His signature on these papers and half of our joint assets. But he's been hiding. Consider him found. I grabbed my phone and started recording. Marcus, I want you to look into this camera and explain to everyone how you married two women. Emily, no. Explain how you lied to me for 2 years. How you made me an unknowing accomplice to adultery. Stop it. He lunged for my phone, but Sarah stepped between us. Touch her and I'll call the police for assault, Sarah warned. Sign the papers, Marcus. Now. Trapped between two furious women with nothing left to lose, Marcus finally cracked. With shaking hands, he signed the divorce papers while I kept recording. And our annulment papers will be filed tomorrow, I added. Along with fraud charges. Sarah smiled grimly. I'll be in touch about asset division. And Marcus? She leaned closer to him. If you ever contact either of us again, this video goes viral. As Marcus packed his bags under our watchful eyes, Sarah and I sat on the porch, sharing a bottle of wine I'd been saving for our first anniversary. You know, Sarah said, I spent 6 months blaming myself for our marriage failing. Wondering what I did wrong. And I spent 2 years trying to be the perfect girlfriend, then the perfect wife. Always walking on eggshells, afraid he'd leave. I took a sip of wine, tasting freedom for the first time in years. We deserved better, Sarah said firmly. We did. And now we know better. As Marcus's car disappeared down the street, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months, peace. The betrayal still hurt, but it no longer defined me. I wasn't his victim anymore, I was a survivor. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? Sarah asked. I know a great divorce attorney. I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in weeks. I'd like that. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best revelations. I learned that day that my worth wasn't tied to being someone's wife, especially someone who never deserved the title of husband. Some endings aren't endings at all. They're beginnings in disguise. And sometimes, the people who hurt you teach you the most valuable lesson of all: never settle for less than you deserve, because somewhere out there, someone else is learning the same lesson, and together, you're both stronger than you ever were apart.